Welcome back to your weekly dose of motivation, brought to you by the Motivating Force podcast. You're listening to Josue, an aspiring Marine Corps officer who is finishing up ROTC and working towards his bachelor's in the criminal justice field. And myself, Justin, a motivational speaker who's always excited to share our new ideas and topics with you. We are both highly motivated individuals who love to question the common rhetoric and share some rather unique viewpoints with all of our listeners.
This week, we're going to be talking about the importance of delayed gratification, the concept that isn't used in today's society anymore, which causes problems when trying to form a structured life. So today, we will be going over some ways to learn and implement this into your life. So let's get this fire lit
and get motivated. So delayed gratification is something that is a little more uncommon when we think about it today. Even for people who practice it, it's not something that's generally talked about. Usually, delayed gratification is done by high performers or even just mildly successful people, because really any form of success has some derivative of delayed gratification in it. So we don't get to hear a whole lot about it because the strong practitioners of delayed gratification typically aren't going to be the ones sitting around talking about things. They're out there getting work done. It's kind of like the example where you've never seen a commercial for a Lamborghini before. When you ask Lamborghini, they say, well, the people who can purchase our cars aren't sitting at home watching TV.
That's a great point.
It is, man. So that's going into delayed gratification. This is why we don't hear about it. But delayed gratification refers to the ability to put off something mildly fun or pleasurable now in order to gain something that is more fun, pleasurable, or rewarding later. It's not a new concept. It's something that's been around for a long time. We can go as far back as 300 BC, and studying up on Aristotle, he saw this as the reason why so many people were unhappy, and they were confusing pleasure for true happiness. And all that stemmed to his ideas of delayed gratification. He believed that true happiness is about developing habits and surrounding yourself with people who grow your soul. This allows you to move forward towards your greatest potential. Your true happiness entails delaying pleasure and putting in the time, discipline, and patience required to achieve a goal instead of feeling good now. So this is something that was already observed and seen so many years ago. In today's time, as we record things more efficiently, we can see in the 1960s, the most common thing we talk about with delayed gratification, or at least when you do hear about it, is from the marshmallow test.
Yeah, familiar with the marshmallow test?
Yeah, so this is getting into more modern times. We're talking about an American psychologist, Walter Mischel, and he did this experiment where he gave 4-year-old children a marshmallow, and he told them that they could either eat the marshmallow now, or in 15 minutes, when the experimenter got back from doing a task, they could have 2 marshmallows. The children would then sit in the room with a marshmallow right in front of them. The temptation's there. There's nothing stopping them from taking it. Some of the children could not resist that temptation, and they ate it before the experimenter could return. The other children, who displayed delayed gratification, waited, and were able to get the second marshmallow.
Yeah. Now, what if it's like me, where I don't like marshmallows? I'm given a marshmallow and asked to wait to get another one, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just not going to eat both of them.
Were you a part of that experiment?
No, it wasn't.
There you go. That's why they didn't pick you. They asked your parents and said, hey, does your 4-year-old kid go nuts over marshmallows? And your parents were like, no, I don't think he does. So, okay, you're not part of the group, man.
Not going to be the lab rat today.
Yeah. But what's interesting with the marshmallow experiment, and the part of it that's not really talked about too much, is that this experiment was done more so than just to, of course, see what kids could wait 15 minutes. They're not going to do a whole study on it just to see that. That's not the end result, right?
Yeah.
So they go in and they pretty much follow up with these kids later on in life, about 10 years later, and they start looking at their habits in school, how they're performing in school, things like that.
Yeah.
And they see a much higher success rate.
And the ones that were able to display the delayed gratification in the test.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's cool.
Because they're able to be more studious. They understood the importance of that, right? And of course, you can go into the details, look up the marshmallow test. You'll get to learn more about it if you're really that interested. But the part of it that I found interesting was not only do we see these results of success, but was that 4-year-olds were able to display delayed gratification. I know some young adults that absolutely cannot display delayed gratification without looking like they have a hot nail pressed up against their back.
Yeah, and that's something that I was thinking about when we were looking into the marshmallow test, of how it was pretty important that they picked children, not people that have already like matured in today's society and gotten those bad habits or good habits. That it's almost like human nature in some cases when they're children, like displaying it at such a young age.
I could see that being part of it. The way I felt about it was there's more of a chance of the second marshmallow being an abstract concept for children. Whereas if you take even a 12-year-old, they know the reward. They know what it means to get that second marshmallow. They can mentally decide if it's worth that time and then make their decision.
Okay. Like based on their previous experiences with said object.
Yeah, because when we see this in adults with delayed gratification, that's the issue, right? It's not taking a 15-minute wait. It's taking a...
Is it worth
It's taking a 3-year wait.
Yeah.
It's working hard for 3 years to run a marathon, to finally accomplishing it and running your first marathon in 3 years or whatever the time frame. It's taking those abstract concepts and applying it to adults in the way that we use it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like what everybody says, like you have to have sacrifice when you want something. The sacrifice is the delayed gratification. You have to be able to sacrifice the time and the little pleasures in life that you can just kind of fill the void right there and go after something without getting distracted with those little distractions, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. It's like when you see the football player score the touchdown and they get the camera spotlight on them and it's all the, you guys won the game. How do you feel? How's this going on and all this? And they just praise the dedication they put into getting there. But there's no camera and celebration for that, 20-something-year-old who's now in the NFL, out of college, things like that. There was no camera on him when he was 13.
Yeah.
He went 10 years of his life working hard, studying hard to land that game-winning touchdown and to have that one moment, that 1 hour, 2 hour window to really be celebrated for 10 years worth of accomplishment. And we see that and we think, oh, I want that type of accomplishment. But they don't see the 10 years that went into it. And that's part of the issue we have with delayed gratification.
Yeah, it's that everybody wants things now. When they see something like Bill Gates being billions of dollars, you want that kind of success now. You don't want to go back to like the 60s or the 70s when he's working in a garage on ways to get billions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. So getting more back onto track here with the topic, we're going to be discussing on how you can start working towards your $1 billion worth of success. And a lot of these come from very simple principles. The first problem that we're going to identify and go over here with delayed gratification is something called impulse control. So being able to delay satisfaction isn't the easiest skill to acquire. There's a lot of other things that are going to happen up front in order to make you successful at delaying gratification. And choosing to have something now, of course, might make you feel good, but making the effort to have discipline and manage your impulses can result in bigger and better rewards that you're going to feel more fulfilled and accomplished for achieving. Over time, delayed gratification is going to improve your self-control and ultimately help you achieve your long-term goals faster.
Yeah, and I feel like when we bring this point specifically, one that everyone can relate to is finances and being impulsive when it comes to wanting things and just being able to buy it. Now in a society that we have like credit, and just go buy something now and then pay for it later, which I've been a victim to, and I've had debt and it's been a struggle just trying to pay it back because I wanted something so much right there in the moment. It's a tolerance that says a lot about you as a person. As you get older and you mature and you learn the struggles of trying to pay something back, it's like, do you really want something so much that you can't, quote unquote, sacrifice or have delayed gratification to get and just pay for it cash and not have to worry about it again? Or do you want to just credit, bill me later, and then have that problem hit you on the way back 2 months from now that you can't make it? Like, you can't pay it back. You can't work hard enough to get the money that it costs to buy the new PlayStation or the new Xbox, you know?
Yeah. A lot of that too can tie into what the real value of what you're getting is, right? So if you want to buy, the newest console that comes out, right? The PS5.
Yeah.
And you have to, finance it, whatever reason, right? And of course, talking to, some of the younger people out there, for some of the older people, pretend I'm talking about a car even, right? What value are you going to place on that when you have put zero work towards achieving that comfort, that accessory, that toy?
Yeah.
All you did was swipe a piece of plastic and take home that new console or take home that new car, and you're going to go, quote unquote, enjoy it. How much fulfillment is there in enjoying that product versus the 3 months of cutting lawns and helping out your parents and doing all these things to get to the point where you've earned that console?
Earning that console really resonates with me because let me change it from console to car, right? So this is an example of like my first car. It was given to me by my mom and my stepfather, right? I was lucky enough to be in a place where they were able to help me out with that. There was a drastic difference on how I felt about maintaining that car or treating the car, driving it and all that stuff compared to when I went out and actually bought my first car. Drastic difference because you don't feel like you earn it when something's just given to you, or credit in this case. You just kind of swipe the card like you said. But if you are out there working 40 plus 50 hours a week and you're really striving to get that car, it's a completely different feeling. You want to like treasure it. You don't want to drive it out as much because you don't want the little rocks on the road to scratch it up.
Yeah, and it's because it's 100% yours. You worked for it. You earned it. It's paid off in full. You put the time in and you got the toy to enjoy. And I think a lot of that, we justify impulse control the same way we justify a lot of other things we have going on right now. And we say that, oh, I deserve this.
No.
Right?
There's a lot of people that don't deserve anything.
Yeah. And it's like, for the PS5 example, in my case, what I've been thinking about is like, oh, well, I've gotten straight A's in school, so my parents should buy me a PS5 because I've deserved it. I've earned it. No. You did what's required of you.
Yeah.
You're doing your job, which is minimum entry into real life by getting your A's in school. Congratulations. Good job. Right? What little extra things are you going to do to earn and enjoy those niceties, those accessories that you can have in life? You don't get that by doing what's already expected of you.
But when we're like talking about impulse control, I can see the difference when it's something that you want, like a toy, like you're saying, like a car or the new console or any little thing. But when it's important, I see there being a drastic difference when thinking like credit and all that stuff. When it's something that you need, like,
well, that's what credit's for.
Well, no, this is the importance of having a savings, because let's say you're driving down the street and you blow a tire, you don't have cash for a new tire, right? You could say that you could just swipe the credit card, but why didn't you also have savings in case of emergency?
Yeah. Well, that's the whole original concept of credit. Credit was designed around needing some form of emergency fund. It was exactly that case. Your dryer breaks, you're not going to, have the $2,000 in your bank account to go and buy it right now because you're already keeping up with your other bills and whatnot. So that was the whole point of credit, was being able to make those emergency purchases.
Yeah.
And of course, being more traditionalist, I guess you call it, we do want to have that bank account first, that savings account already established.
Yeah.
And we just rely so much on credit that it really is a huge issue. There's some I'm going to throw some numbers out there right now that are some real things. But 51% of American households have less than $1,000 in their savings account. So
that's a lot.
Yeah, let that sink in. And think about how delayed gratification ties into things like that. When the majority of people literally at this point barely even they actually don't have enough money to survive a month because that can't even pay next month's rent.
Yeah, no, because you're just going paycheck to paycheck at that point.
Yeah. And then the scary part is out of that 51%, 39% of those people don't have a savings account. There's nothing there. And that number is also based off of if like they have, say, $500 in their savings account, but their credit bill is $2,000.
Yeah.
They count that as having zero in savings. So 39% of people are already in the hole.
Yeah.
They can't survive one day of not working. So now let that sink in when you get older and you start thinking about, oh, when can I retire? When can I go on vacation? When can I do these things? Nah, bro. You didn't have that impulse control. You have all the nice things now. So now when you get older and your body stops working so much, oh, well, you still got to pay for those nice things you had.
Yeah. This is a great topic that we can really dive into on a future segment, which I'm sure we have scheduled out. But the whole premise of not having said savings and wanting to go to Las Vegas or you want to go to the Bahamas and you want all these little vacations instead of working because you're just like making ends meet now, but you want to have the vacation. Like those are core values that people are lacking because of impulse control.
Yeah, 100%. That's why this is the number one problem. This is the killer of that delayed gratification.
Yeah, but I feel like if we can really nail it, that people need to like reevaluate their values and what they hold important to them. Because if they want a vacation all the time, what's the point of living in a $2,000 a month like apartment?
Yeah.
Cut it back and then go vacation. If that's what you want. If that's what you're working for all the time.
Yeah, structuring out those priorities. But that's something that people will procrastinate on. They'll put away from that time to go and do that. And it's because it is as simple as swiping a credit card to get a lot of things that you want in life. So when we have to think about the hard work that goes into it and even paying that stuff back, we'll even procrastinate on just thinking about when we're going to do that, how we're going to do that. You know, we want to live in this perfect world where, oh, well, I make this much a week, so in 6 weeks from now, I'll have that paid off. But what happens in 4 weeks when you get into a car accident? Or you break your toe or something stupid, right? And now you're out of work for a week or two. And now this little perfect fragile plan you had set up to pay something off is shattered.
Or you get COVID.
Or you get COVID. Yeah.
You can't work.
That's a lot more realistic right now.
Trying to hit that real world problem. All right. Anyway, so go back to what you're saying.
No, that's it. That's my point. Just getting into procrastination, man. That's the second problem we're going to present here. And it's not as serious as the impulse control, but it definitely creeps up on you. And it's something that people don't think about.
Well, that's the thing. So it's not different from impulse control. It's still in that same grouping because you're just trying to get all the little pleasures now, right? You're getting all that out of the way. And like I was mentioning with the finances and having to pay it back later, you're not going to have that motivating force. You're not going to have that drive to want to pay things off later because you already used the console or whatever it is that you bought with the credit. So you don't have that real like drive to pay it off. So you just procrastinate on your bills and then debt keeps rolling in, and instead of paying it off in 6 months where it's interest free, then you have to pay it with interest. And then you end up paying more than what it was originally. Instead of just waiting, working, having delayed gratification, earning the full, what's PlayStation now, like $400?
Something like that.
Yeah. So instead of earning the $400 and then buying it, you just want the PlayStation now, pay credit, and then instead of paying off $400, you're paying off $500 and change. Because you wanted it now. You couldn't just wait, sacrifice a little bit of time, hard work, and just pay the price.
Yeah. It's all I'm thinking about as you're breaking this down is the amount of stress people are adding to their lives over the simplest things.
Yeah, creature comforts, dude.
Creature comforts, man. It is such a good feeling to be able to look at your bank account and seeing a comma.
Yeah.
Just one.
There's
Just
no
one.
better feeling.
Knowing that if you got sick and you were out of work for a week or two or even a month, you could pay next month's rent and not have to worry about it. Dude, that is better than having a PS5. And I'm sorry, that makes me sound like I'm an old man, but it's the reality.
Well, then let's hit this real quick for all the people that are listening and going, oh, well, they have money and they shouldn't be preaching to us when we're just working 40 hours a week and barely making rent.
All right. Well, that's an easy one because, I guess, okay, because I don't know everybody's situation. And like we mentioned before, there are legitimate times where you're going to get in debt. And that's why it's important to have good credit because
As I have in the past, like I mentioned.
yeah, because there's a point of where you need a car, right? I mean, you don't need to go buy a brand new BMW, but you need to have some form of transportation. And these are things that cost more than a paycheck. And some people just don't have that. But how do you get to and from work, right?
Yeah.
So there are times where it's reasonable, it's acceptable that you get put into debt, right? Something my dad would always say to me was working 40 hours a week pays your bills. Working an extra 20 hours a week pays for your lifestyle. And then on top of that, working an extra 10 hours a week after that 60 hours
Pays for retirement.
Pays for your retirement.
Yeah.
People want
I've
to...
mentioned that I love your dad, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But people want to get tied down to, again, things that they deserve. And they feel like if the average work week is 40 hours, then they deserve to only work 40 hours and make enough money for everything.
Yeah.
And that's just not how the real world works. I'm sorry. It's not. If you're struggling, work more. Get a skill. Try to get a skill. I can't tell you how many, especially being in a trade, right? I'm a mechanic. I can't tell you how many times we've given opportunities to people who know nothing about mechanics and came in our door and said, look, man, I don't know how to change oil, but I'm going to be here 9 to 5. I'll be here 8:59 to 5:01
Yeah.
every single day. I've got great work ethic. Teach me. I want to learn something new. I'm tired of working at Walmart. And I use that example because that's somebody that actually came in and did that actually happened. Yeah. And it was like, he wanted to move up. He wanted to get somewhere in his life. He was done getting paid what he was getting paid. And he came in and learned a lot from us. Did a hell of a lot of cleaning, I'll tell you that. That shop was sparkly. But my point is, there are people out there who are more than willing to help you out and teach you if you make sacrifices and give them that opportunity to do that. You scratch their back, they're going to scratch yours. And in 6 months' time, that delayed gratification, you're going to know enough to go get a trade job.
Yeah.
Just a simple example to put out there. And it's realizing that some things might set you back in life a couple months, but how much further do they put you forward in the years to come?
Yeah, and that's for just trade jobs in general, right? Because you can even take hobbies, things that you already enjoy doing. We've talked about this before, where like my girl's dad is over here making just a bunch of like decorations for your garden for Christmas and all this stuff, or little candle holders out of wood that's just lying around. So he's not spending any money to do this, right? And then he turns around and people buy it from him for like $40, $200 per piece. And it's like, you can just do that, which you're already enjoying, and make money off of it.
Yeah, it's learning how to monetize those things if that's your priority. And that comes into that, 40-hour work week, 60-hour work week, 70-hour work week. People think that working 70 hours a week is going to kill them. And all that's going to do is put you much further ahead. It does quite the opposite of what people believe it does.
Yeah, but I also think that this is something that we can tell people to look forward to in our Wednesday episode, having that positive mental attitude towards things. Because when you look at it like, 70-hour work week, I can't do that, as opposed to, I really want to enjoy my retirement, or I really want to enjoy these lifestyle choices that I've planned for myself in the future, you're going to want to work that 70 hours a lot more than if you were looking at it negatively. Then you're going to be all down in the slums about it. But if you're having that positive mental attitude towards it, you really want the retirement, you really want vacations, you're going to be more willing to work for it. So it's not going to seem like a sacrifice. It's going to seem like it's just you're delaying the gratification until you get it, until you achieve that goal.
Well, I'm happy to see you pumped up for Wednesday's episode.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be great. But a good point to come off of from that is something that really bothers me when I talk to people about finances.
Everything.
Well, that's one thing. But it's people have this idea where they're like, when you talk about savings account and they're like, oh, bro, but I don't even know if I'm going to be here tomorrow.
Oh.
So what if I die and I have all this money in savings and I never got to enjoy it? Nothing boils my blood more than that when I talk about finances with people, because it's like, number one, okay, because most of the times by the time I get to that point in conversation, we're talking about finances because they're asking me for help.
Yeah.
On like just basic, simple things, right? And it's like, but do you not see the habit that you're forming? You're coming to me with this and presenting it to me as a problem, but that's because you're so relaxed because, I might die tomorrow. Well, tell that to yourself when you're 70.
Yeah. I mean, but that's also kind of selfish, because then there's other people that can be affected by that, right? If you don't want to have that value in your life and pass it down to your children or your spouse or your family members in general, right? They can be negatively affected by that mentality of, what if I'm not here tomorrow?
Okay.
Because then you won't have that savings for them, if anything.
Yeah, you're thinking about that legacy.
Yeah.
I understand that. That is one good, really great point about that, is that consideration for others. But this is going into these traits that we lack today, where you want to take these mindsets and use these simple little nice catchphrases to excuse a lot of things in your life. And to sit there and say that, it's like, well, who can argue with that? It's like, okay, sure. Yeah, you're right. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. Who knows if you'll be here? Who knows if we'll all be here? But think about the habits and the destructiveness you're causing for your future. You're putting so much stress on yourself. You're doing all these negative things and you're wondering why you're not progressing forward in life. And it's because you're living every day like it's your last. That is the purest form of having no sense of delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Because there is no tomorrow. Delayed gratification is all about tomorrow and the day after and the day after.
So we have to basically cancel #YOLO. You only live once, so spend it like it's your last.
I mean, I think YOLO's been canceled for a couple of years now, but thank you for catching up, Josue.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's what you're saying. It's such a bad thing because, like, on social media, that's a big, like, trendy topic that everybody wants you to carry on.
Yeah.
Just living every day like it's your last, so spend it big.
Yeah.
Live it big.
But that's the whole point there, getting into that last problem, is tying all that together in that nice package of, you can say whatever you want about it. You can try to justify it however you want. But when reality kicks in and you realize and you wake up tomorrow and go, oh yeah, I'm still here and I'm still broke.
Yeah.
And it's also, you're not setting a vision for yourself for the future. You're not making these plans. You're not making these goals. And then you think one day you're going to trip and fall and Bill Gates is going to give you a hand and lift you up off the floor and be like, hey, I like you, kid. Let me give you $1 billion. And then you're going to be like the next person, right?
That's not how I imagine Bill Gates talking, but all right.
Well, Elon Musk, maybe. I don't know. You get the concept, though. It's like these things don't happen overnight. And
yeah, you're waiting for the handout in that case.
Well,
you're not relying on yourself to go get it yourself.
Yeah, we typically just rely on what today can bring us. And we don't think about what a week can bring us, right? People have such this positive image of what I can get today, what the hustle today is. Okay, but if you take that same concept, apply that to 6 months from now, what can 6 months bring you? Those numbers start looking a lot thicker.
Yeah.
Your health starts looking a lot better, right? What's 1 day of exercise? Okay, what's 6 months of exercise? Okay, now get out there and do it. Granted that 6 months is going to just disappear and be gone from you, but you set the plan, you had the vision, and now you're 6 months later and you're running the marathon, or you're 6 months later and you get to see that comma in your bank account because you delayed some of those gratifications. You got the PS5 a month after everybody else did, but because you actually went out and earned it first. Now you paid $400 instead of the $500 from the interest, right?
Yeah, and you're going to enjoy playing it more.
It's all these
gonna
little
feel
things
worth
that
it.
compound and build up. Because in all honesty, every day that goes by is a day that's just gone.
Mhm.
And then 6 months slip by you and you don't realize where it went. So why not make a purpose and make a plan for those 6 months and then let that 6 months go by you? This obviously is, more of that conclusion towards our solutions here. These are the things that you should be looking forward to when you start entertaining the idea of delayed gratification, is seeing all that compound interest. And not there's the compound interest on money, but like we're saying, with your health, with the habits you form. And you need to understand which values that you need to be able to practice delayed gratification. Because just like last week's topic about multitasking, this is a culmination of healthy habits that really make delayed gratification shine.
So, key point being, taking away all of this from the episode, if you have no delayed gratification, you typically lack a different value that causes you to suffer from not having delayed gratification. So practicing and growing delayed gratification is not just removing the desires at first. It's more of that introspection when you're, like you said, entertaining the idea of forming delayed gratification for your future and just seeing where the desires originate for you. What do you really want? How do you value that? What's more important to you? What can you sacrifice? Because there's people like growing up poor and then coming into wealth as you get older. You're going to want to be spending everything. You're going to feel like you earned having all that money and now you just want this extravagant lifestyle. But then you're going to end up losing all that money back. You're going to be poor again. People that are instantly famous on social media just become stars. How are you going to live that life? You're not going to have structure because you're going to be impulsive and spending all that fame and wealth that you've earned. You're not going to learn to form that value and that characteristic, that important lifestyle choice to save money, because it's going to be so fast. You're going to just spend everything. Like people that win the lottery, same thing happens to them. They go into debt because they spend all their money.
Yeah. But for the average person, though, that doesn't hit these instantaneous things, let me tell you what, man. The first time I saw that comma in my bank account,
it's
and then I got so excited, but then I went out and I spent it.
Yep.
Right? Because this is what it was, right? I didn't finance the cars or anything like that. Like my Evo, I paid for it in cash, right? So that was a healthy amount of money that I had in my bank account, right? And it was like, oh man, this is so nice. Like, man, I could take a year off of work if I wanted to. And then I went and bought a car.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh yeah, I now have no money in my bank account.
There it all goes.
And I felt like crap until I looked out and then saw my pretty car. And I was like, yeah. And then I was super happy, right? Because that was the goal. That's what I worked towards. But yeah, and then you come back to it. And if you catch yourself, make sure you catch yourself, those healthy habits.
Yeah.
I wanted that comma back.
So now your goal, strive for 2 commas.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where we're going, man.
That's the next goal.
Yeah, man, those 2 commas are going to be great. But that's the dream, right? Like we were talking about. People need to start dreaming again.
Oof.
Just like when you were a kid and you had these ideas like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be an astronaut. I'm going to do this. And then we let all of it fade away because now we're living day to day. We're just happy to be in the side hustle and get what we can get from each and every day. That's quote unquote living your life to the fullest. It's really not, man.
Yeah.
Take those dreams, turn them into a plan. Because the only difference between a dream and a plan is that plans are written down.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
And if you put it step by step, you can actually achieve those small goals.
Yeah. And then those small goals accumulate over time. That 6 months goes by and you are now living your dream. You can get out there. You can make it happen. Spend some time. Take that diligence. Put in the effort to figure out what small steps you're going to make towards living your life to the true fullest. And to wrap that up, we're going to get a little old school here and quote Epictetus, who said, freedom is secured not by the fulfilling of men's desires, but by the removal of desire.
All right, everybody, that's another one down for the books. Thank you. And really, really think about implementing some of these things that we're talking about this episode if you're really striving for that structured lifestyle. These are really important key points that we're bringing up for you guys. If there's anything else that you really want us to hit on or talk about, go deeper into a topic on one of these points, please feel free to message us contact us at themotivatingforce.org, or even simpler, comment down below in the video for us. While you're here, please like and share this video, please. It will help a lot. Follow us on social media, The Motivating Force, on Facebook, our Instagram at podcasttmf. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that bell icon. It really means a lot to us that you guys are listening every week. Really excited for this Wednesday's bonus episode. It's going to be a positive mental attitude life coach corner. Remember, every episode is going to be coming out Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 a.m. EST. Now go get it.